I'm Beverly, and I'm on the witness stand.
Y'all, Diddy is at it again. Yesterday, jury's out of the room. The judge asked Diddy if he was going to testify in his own defense. Diddy makes a big production, stands up, and tells the judge what a wonderful job he's doing. Manipulator to the end. Luckily, it was done out of the jury presence. Can you imagine him standing up and doing such a performance in front of the jury? The arrogance, the absolute unmitigated gall and arrogance of this man to act as if he is going to get off. He's not getting off. He might not be found guilty of everything, which I do not understand how that could happen. But let's just say that maybe the jury doesn't give him RICO, but it's still, they cannot walk away from the other charges. I was so upset. I was really upset. And I thought, what the hell are they doing? It burnt my biscuits because I thought, you're taking away everything that is going to give him RICO. But then I did some research, and what it can be used for now is to go to his character. So even though all of these witnesses got up and testified to all these bad things, which I'm now wondering, was that a waste? I don't know. I think it was a shot that the prosecutors have taken. We'll find out if it works. I do believe it's going to work, and I'll tell you why. The jury is not in court today. They are doing the arguments back and forth about the instructions to the jury and what will be considered and what won't. The wording of the jury instruction form, and the judge asked them to streamline it. I think it was called cutting the fat, but they did it, and this is how the feds did it. What is left? Let me go to my notes. Bribery. Allegedly, they grease some palms to keep Diddy's name clean and out of the headlines, but the hush-hush money did not work, did it? It didn't pay itself, as they say. The second one is witness tampering. He allegedly made threats to keep people quiet. We know that using the videos, threatening to show them like Cassie's to her parents or putting them out there for the world to see. And Jane Doe, I think it was Jane Doe. Yeah, Jane Doe, he threatened to show the videos to her ex-husband, which would threaten her custody of her child. So, and among others, but those are two highlights that I used right off the top. Forced labor. The feds said that some victims were forced to work, not necessarily sexually, but otherwise, maybe the long hours. I know that there's a thing about getting paid salary, but when you're talking 80 to 100 hours, that's not legal. You can't do that. But it said that it was forcing people to work either sexually or otherwise by coercion or by using a trap in some way. Prostitution, act number 1, and that is transporting women across state lines to entertain at parties. And this was, look guys, this was not for modeling. This was for sex acts. And then we have prosecution charge number 2. That is profiting from that sex work, allegedly using the whole setup like a business. Drug distribution. He provided drugs at events, allegedly to control, manipulate, or reward. Now remember, Brendan Paul, he testified that he got drugs for Diddy and for predicate charges for RICO. And if we use that, then I think we've got all of the others. Anything else, I think it's a done deal. I think there was enough testimony to prove all of the three big ones that he was tried, or that he's been tried on, but he was also charged with federally. I wanted to know, went back and looked, and to get a few pieces of evidence that I think that we can tie clear cut ties to his enterprise, the overarching enterprise where the money was paid for. So first of all, you've got the money that was given to a security guard at the hotel where Cassie was beaten for that video. He got $100,000 in a paper bag. So the $100,000 was a bribery money, and he paid that out of his company funds. Which was the finance officer of Bad Boy Entertainment, Derek Ferguson was his name. He went through a whole list. He walked everybody through a path of monies that were attributed to supplies like baby oil, lube, drugs, alcohol. And there were receipts for American Express credit cards used for those things. And it was corporate credit cards that were used to pay for those things. So now you've got another paper trail that falls under RICO. Also, there were wire transfers to Cassie Ventura's mother in the amount of $20,000, and that was corporate controlled accounts. So it sure wasn't studio time. I don't think she sings. Enterprise monies that were used, I broke it down into a really pretty pie chart. Well, for me to see. Anyway, 35% was hush money. 35% of the money used out of the accounts. 25% was event logistics, like the transport, the hotels, that sort of thing. 20% were for party drugs and supplies going back to the baby oil and stuff. And then you have 15% of his money in settlements. So that's how we break down the corporate charges to support RICO. So that's it for right now. Today was kind of a little bit of an explanation for those charges and how it's going to support RICO. Also, the doing away with dropping the charges this morning, that was a big. And then, of course, we had to talk about the funny, not so funny part of the arrogance of this man. He is the devil. Satan's spawn. He is the devil when it comes to his nastiness. He is such a stain on human life and what he does to other people's lives. He really is. So tomorrow, what's coming up? Closing arguments tomorrow. And then I heard somewhere they said it was going to be 4 hours of closing arguments, 2 and 2. I'll get more of that information today. But still, 4 hours from what I understand. And then the rest of it will be the instructions to the jury. And that's the boring part. I'll just hit the highlights for you later. But on Friday, it goes to the jury. So they have a whole day to convict him. Will it be a whole day? We don't know. But I definitely believe that by next week, Diddy will be sitting in prison for at least double-digit years. And until then, you may step off the witness stand.
I'm Beverly, and I'm on the witness stand.